Coda Princess was originally released on the 3DS in 2012 and quickly developed a cult following. Despite being well received, the game came with one caveat: performance issues. This was rectified with a Steam release in 2016, but it removed the English dub and the resolution was locked at 720p. Now in 2018, Coda Princess is making its way to the Nintendo Switch with a new leveling system and local 2-player co-op. The game takes place in a fictitious European medieval kingdom where monsters are running amok and our barely dressed heroine sets out to vanquish said monsters. Along the way you meet up with a whole host of different characters including a thief, a nun, a living corpse, a samurai, and an elf with a guitar. The larger-than-life characters are the strongest part of the game's narrative and makes up a large portion of the game's runtime. But if you're not big on the talkie-talkie, you can always fast forward through the cutscenes by holding down the R button. Unfortunately, the English dub isn't available on the Switch despite the subtitles being based on the script of the English dub. This leads to awkward moments with the short Japanese sentences being accompanied by a lengthy subtitle. Coda Princess is a side-scrolling beat-em-up with RPG elements in a multi-plane system reminiscent of Guardian Heroes on the Sega Saturn. There's 3 different attack buttons and a burst attack that increases your strength but only can be used on 3 occasions in each level. The Switch version promises improved AI, but the enemies are still fairly dumb with only the bosses putting up a decent fight. For the most part the game is a mindless button masher, albeit an entertaining one. The game's greatest strength comes from the massive roster of 50 playable characters with their own unique set of attacks and skills. Like an RPG, your characters gain experience, and you can also earn gold that can be spent on acquiring new gear. Completing the main campaign only takes around 3 to 4 hours, but the real meats and potatoes can be found in the free play mode and extra quests, where you can play as every single character featured in this game. Enemies, NPCs and bosses, you name it, they're all playable. The Switch conversion introduces a new leveling system and local 2-player co-op. That means you can now enjoy local co-op on a single system of each player using a single Joy-Con. The 4-player online modes are still present. Unfortunately, I was unable to test the netcode prior to the game's release. Originally on the 3DS, only 4 characters were playable in the story mode, but the Switch bumps this up to 8 characters. Also, the new leveling system means your entire party will level up as opposed to a single character on the 3DS. On the downside, you can no longer assign individual skill points. As I mentioned earlier, the performance profile on the 3DS was really slow, but the Switch version delivers a smooth 60 frames per second with almost non-existent loading. In both docked and handheld mode, the game runs at 720p. On the Switch's small screen, the game looks fine, but when blown up to a large TV, the jaggies become more pronounced. On the positive side, the game's soundtrack is awesome with a mixture of rock and orchestral sounds. Aside from the omission of the English dub, the Switch port is hands down the best version of Coda Princess. The new leveling up system and local co-op have revitalized this game for a new audience. Having said that, charging $60 Australian in the eShop for a port of a 6-year-old game is pretty steep, especially when you can pick up the Steam version for $20 Australian. I still recommend playing this game, but I suggest you wait for the game to go on sale before taking the plunge.